Hey everyone, so we're back with the next session, and we have with us Marco Rizzotti. So Marco is a famous name on ArtStation, guys, and he's a senior artist at VUCA, senior character artist at VUCA, Germany. Marco brings in a rich experience as a traditional sculpting artist, as well as in the game industry as well. From being very traditional to going all digital. And Marco's talk is also going to be in the same lines, like from a being traditional sculptor and a big time Warhammer fan, how he made it to making digital characters in the games. So thank you for joining us, Marco, and putting together your presentation and making all this effort for us. Thank you so much. And before I hand over the stage to you guys, there's just two things that I would want to state. One, during the talk only, we'll paste the feedback links on the handout tabs as well as in the discussion. Please take out time to provide us the feedback on the discussion on the talk. And the second thing is, while the session is on, keep pasting your questions, whatever pops up in your head, in the Q&A tab, and we will spare a 10-15 minutes window towards the end of the session, and there we will try and answer all the questions, or to the extent possible. Yeah, so this was it. All yours, Marco.
Thank you.
I'll just go backstage, and the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm super happy about that. So, an unconventional journey into the gaming industry. That's what I will talk about. So, why an unconventional journey? So, first of all, what is the goal of this talk? The goal of this talk is answering one single question.
I'm sorry, Marco. Yes. So I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I forgot to ask you to start your presentation.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah, my fault. Yeah, sorry again. So reboot. So like the goal of this talk is going to be answering like this single question, which is like, how did I get from a small town from the south of Italy to the gaming industry? So what is like the small town? The small town is like Taranto, which is like a small town in the south of Italy at the heel of the boot, mostly known for like the sea, because it's the middle of the sea, the Mediterranean, and the good food. So if you want to visit, I strongly recommend you to go there. I've been working in a company like a Good Game, Envision Entertainment, and King. And in this specific moment, I'm working for VUGA, which is like a company of Playtika, which work on a story-based game for mobile. The company is this one, is located in Berlin. This is the nice building where I have to go every day. Not so much now because of the corona, but yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful office. So a little bit of context, a little bit of timeline that we're gonna follow across all the talk. So I started my experience as a traditional sculptor when I was 14. I was in love with Warhammer and Mordheim, all the tabletop game. So that's the moment where I first approached to traditional sculpture. My second step was when I became a traditional sculptor as a professional, but working as a freelancer, and I was 20. And the last step when I get to the gaming industry as a digital sculptor, and I was 29. So now to give a little bit more details about this story, we need some characters. I'm a character artist. I love characters. Let's put characters into the story. And the characters are not random characters, are dwarves, because I love dwarves, and also because those are really connected to the story. So the story of the three dwarves. First one. This is an army from Warhammer. I really wanted to have an army. I was 14. I wanted to play a tabletop game. I had no money. I was a student. Before that, I was a teenager. So I had no money at all. My parents could not give me the money to make the army, which was too expensive for me. So what I did, I start watching, actually mostly on the magazine and stuff. How do they do this character? How do they produce them? Is there a way to produce like in a cheap way? And I found out that the material that they used is this one on the right that you're gonna see on the screen, which is called green stuff, and they were using for making the character. And this one is the first dwarf I actually sculpted. It was the first attempt for me to build an army, and it was the only reason why I did that. I just wanted to have like my army. I didn't want to become a sculptor. I didn't want to become an artist at all. I just wanted to do what was important for me at that time. This is the painted version of this guy, which I still have somewhere, probably in my parent place, but is still there. Let's jump to the second work. Remembering in the timeline, I was 20 at this point. I found out that some people liked my sculpture and they were asking me to produce the sculpture for them. So I start getting into the production. I start saying, okay, I can make money with this thing. I didn't know. I just was doing for myself. And this is the first sculpture that I sold, and was for like as a private. I was not working for anyone. It was the moment in my life where I found out I can actually make money out of that. So I start sculpting more and more sculpture, and eventually I start selling them in the shops, like this guy over here. Let's jump to the third dwarf in the storyline. This guy here is the first sculpture I did for a company. So that was the moment where I actually became a professional sculptor working for a company. And this is the day I received my first copy. You know, when you sculpt for a company as an action figure sculpture or as like a modeling sculpture, you actually have to you receive some copies from there. And this was the first day that Romeo Models, which was the company I was working for, sent me the first model. It was a big achievement for me because it was the moment where I realized, okay, I'm a sculptor. I'm actually doing this as a profession, and it was amazing. But when you are in Italy and when you do this kind of job, which is like a niche job, you don't get so much money. So you have money, but it's not enough to afford like a normal standard life. You can't rent an apartment, you can't have a car, you cannot build a family. So I was trying to make everything that was possible to make as much money as possible. So I started doing cake design. Those two guys here on the screen are made in sugar, and they were made for a cake. So again, knowledge of how to do this thing with the material in a professional way, taking this knowledge and bring it to the different medium, which is in this case sugar for cake, and then start making my way out of this. Those are also other characters I did in sugar, just to show the complete range of the things I was doing in that moment. So this is the moment where I realized, okay, I need to do something else because I'm working every day. I'm waking up in the morning, going there working in the bakery, and then in the afternoon working for the company. Sometimes the company I'm not asking for a new model, so this is not enough. And also I had a lot of taxes and things to pay in Italy, so it was really, really challenging. So I started looking for countries where there's more support and where there was like more request for what I was doing. And I found out that Germany had a very good system for artists. So that's why in 2013 I decided to move there. So the most important thing to know when you move is that you don't have to move like this. You have to organize the thing. You have to plan. You have to think about how I will survive in this different environment. How can I start building what I want to build, which in that time was for me, I wanted to build like a laboratory, like a sculpture studio where I could continue doing my stuff. But of course, I didn't know the language. I didn't know the rules. I had not enough money. So I had to find for a standard job. So my first standard job was as a customer support in a gaming company. So I was hired as an intern. I was 29 years old. I was hired as an intern in a gaming company, which is this one, Good Game. They gave me this opportunity. So, but once I was inside the company, I start showing my sculpture. I start talking with people and say, you know what, my dream is one day to have like my own studio there. I want to sculpt. I want to make this thing. And that's what I want to do. And eventually people found out I was a cake designer. So I started designing cakes for friends there. And this was my way to showing my process, my way to show my knowledge to the people inside there, without knowing that this could be helpful. It was just because that's what I love and I wanted to show. And eventually somebody found out that I could use this knowledge for the gaming industry. The first day they asked me for a test, and that was my test. I spent one day replicating a character from Good Game. which is this, the one you see in the screen. And eventually, I got a position in the art department. Now, think about this. I had no idea that I could work in the gaming industry. I had no idea how I would work in the game industry. And I got an offer for the art department. So they just dropped me there and had to learn how to survive. So, of course, they supported me. They gave me some support, but like from my point of view, was like, okay, just like a jump in the dark. So what I started doing, I was like sculpting by hand and in clay, sketching really quickly, like some concept from other people, and then translating this 2D sketches in 3D, just to show the other artists what it was possible to do, how you can convert this 2D sketch in a 3D model. But at the same time was spending time with all the people there, like a 3D artist and other like 3D character artists, specifically one which is a friend of mine now, trying to learn how to convert this thing in 3D. How can I try to learn how the software works and so on. And eventually, when I was doing that, I was keep producing like sculpture and keep producing like designing the design for the games, like this one that actually made into the game, and this other one, which is also something you're gonna show. I'm gonna show you later how I did. But again, I was trying to make my way inside the company with my knowledge, and at the same time trying to learn how can I apply this knowledge to that. So the very big question now is, and I guess this is like also the reason why you're talking about this process is like, how do I get from this model that I showed you before to something digital like this one you see on the right side, which is like the entire goal of this talk. And imagine day one, I just go in the art department, I sit there, and I have the screen in front. I have no idea what we are talking about. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what to do. So my expression was more or less like this one, completely lost. I had no idea. But eventually, I had the first input, and I start thinking about, okay, this is a simulation of traditional sculpture. So they made this tool because they want people with knowledge of anatomy, with knowledge of sculpture, to be able to translate this like traditional knowledge in something digital that actually after can be used for animation and after can be used for games and so on. So I start thinking, okay, those are my tools. Of course, I had like a senior telling me, those are your tools. Okay. And I start associating, I start thinking about, okay, how can I use this tool? How do they work? How can I use this thing? And I start basically learning by doing. I start associating every single tool to something I actually was using in real life. So for example, we have the H polish, which is basically a cutter. And I was using the cutter in real life to make hard edges, to take away parts of the model I didn't want, to reduce the volumes. And eventually the H polish was working also like a sandpaper, which I was using to refine the model at the end. So when it was like almost done, I was using the sandpaper on top of the surfaces to clean up the surfaces in the way that they would work better. Then I also find out that we have a move tool. So what I was doing in real life by moving stuff around was also possible to do in ZBrush. So there was like this tool over there, and I was using that. So that was like the process I was using over and over and over. It was like, okay, I need to do this thing in real life. How do I do in digital? And I go there and I test. Okay, this works exactly as the thing I'm using in real life. Let's write down. Okay, the move tool does the move that I do in real life. The cutter is like the H polish. Perfect. I have my tools there. Then moving forward, the clay build up is like some sort of like a craving tool, and also adding volumes on top of the sculpture. Great, I have another tool. So I was building my tool, I was putting on the table and still today I use this kind of interface where I have all the tools below, because in real life, I have all my tools here, like on the desk. I was using exactly the same mindset. Again, smooth tool, we have the smooth tool. It's exactly the same. It's even called smooth. And in real life, you smooth and use like water to make surfaces like clean. And so on with other tools like the DAM standard for craving and inlaying and all the other brushes you see there. But at the very beginning, I didn't need so much. I just needed exactly the thing. The main basic tools that I was using for making the sculpture, which are 5, 6, not more than that, and then my hands. That's it. So what I was learning in the specific moment is that you use like your knowledge in a flexible way, which means you go there and you have like some knowledge that come from another medium, and you have to adapt this knowledge to what you need in the specific time. And if you go forward, you will see that everything that I was doing in real life was connected to what I was doing there. So, for example, when I was like projecting the sculpture and then start thinking how this thing would work, I was building an armor, and in ZBrush I was using like the Z-sphere at the beginning. After I'm now not using so much anymore, but at that time I was like, okay, this is connecting, I can do that, and then start thinking about all the things I learned when I was like sculpting really sculpting. So thinking about the main volumes, how they would work in this like a digital environment. So without somebody telling me how you have to build the sculpture, just knowing that you have like the symmetry activated there, I was actually making balls, making cubes, trying to do the basic volumes just by using the move tool, and that's it. Was not using anything else rather than that, maybe just like the H polish. But what I was actually doing, I was converting my traditional skills in making volumes also in 3D, and again and again. So I was applying my knowledge of secondary volumes. So starting adding a little bit more detail and defining the sculpture. What you see there is like it was happening almost the same day. So I was in the first hours doing my sculpture like by hand, and then after was just like sitting in front of my screen and doing exactly the same I was doing in real life. So sometimes bouncing between the desks was just like spending a little bit of time on 3D and then thinking about, okay, how do I do this thing? Then I was jumping back on the sculpture, doing this thing in real life, and then, okay, I found a solution in real life. So I must find like a tool that does this thing in ZBrush. And then I was jumping back on the desk and say, okay, this tool does exactly the same. So it should be the same process. And you know what? It was exactly the same process, with the difference that you can have like the undo in ZBrush and you can't have the undo in real life. And then finalizing the sculpture. So you can see on the bottom of the picture on the left side, all the things I take away from the sculpture, all the dust created by the polishing phase. And you can see on the right, the same process without any dust and without any without so many tools. Also, one other thing you can notice is that on the bottom of the sculpture picture, like the real sculpture picture, you can see more or less the same tools that I showed you before, and they are placed in this exact space, like in the ZBrush interface. So again, one more thing, when you think is not connected at all, what you do in real life in the sculpture to the digital world is about like the texturing. When you texture the model, when you are painting the model in real life, you are thinking about how the light is going to affect this model in the place where this model is going to be shown. So if you see just like a normal standard picture I did to the sculpture painted, you will see this like rim light, which is coldish, like bluish rim light coming from the left side, and you will see a warmer yellowish light coming from the right side. And when you paint a real model in real life, you have to think about how the light is going to affect the paint itself. So if you don't do that, when it's going to be presented, when people is going to take it in their hands, according to the light they're going to have, is going to be too dark, is not going to be saturated enough, and so on. And also, you will learn the technique of actually painting this model. If you don't do that, uh, like the model is not going to be sold. And when I start texturing in 3D, I found out that you have the exact same problem because the first day I start texturing, I tested the model in the engine and was actually not working. And I thought, okay, I know why it's not working because it's not reacting with the light in the way I wanted this to react. I was like working with no light, and that what happened. And so the knowledge of me painting real model in real life was transferred to the texturing phase. So after all this training, after these days on understanding how to use that, my very first model in ZBrush was this one. And of course, it doesn't look like a beginner model, only for the fact that I was able to transfer my traditional knowledge to the digital world. So one thing I want to say here, which is really important, is like nobody knows everything. And when you apply for a job, you apply for the job, and then you learn the job you apply for, which means that as for me, the first day I was there, I had no idea on how to do this thing, but I had my knowledge. When you're gonna go in a new company, when you're gonna join a new company, what is gonna happen is that uh, the first month you're going to have the onboarding phase, which means that no matter how senior you are, the first day you're going to have to learn how to do your job in this specific project. So this has to be clear for you that there's not a job where you enter, you know everything, and everything works immediately from the day one. And it does not depend only on your expertise. Your expertise will make the things easier, but it's not that you enter and you know already what to do. So don't be scared when you have to apply somewhere, even if you think, okay, I know how to do some part, but not everything of this specific project. You're gonna learn. If they want you for this job, they're gonna teach you how to do that. That's exactly what happened to me. I had no idea how to use 3D. They hired me for a 3D position, and I learned how to do 3D by using my knowledge in traditional. So how do I did that? How did I achieve that? By watching, by asking, by watching, by learning, by trying. So by sitting next to each single person in the company, writers, technical artists, other artists, and asking them how do I learn this thing? How can I do this thing? How this thing works. So be open for question, be open to receive feedback, be open to connect with the people in the company, because the people in the company are the ones that are there since before you, and they can transfer your information, and they can find a way to use your knowledge to their service and to the project service. So be flexible and open-minded, which means you will enter with your luggage of knowledge, but this is not enough. You will have to be open-minded to receive information. You will have to change your way of working according to the project. You will have to make everything that is possible that what you do is adapted to what they need. Okay, but now the question you might ask is like, okay, this is all nice, but you're talking with the experience of somebody that was already in the company and he didn't have to apply. You just were there and then everything happened. So how do I get in? Like, if this is the question. And this is a very good question because I got asked this multiple times. And first of all, how you step into the company, it's what is important to know is like it's an industry based on the portfolio. So the portfolio is the key for you. It's like the moment you show the portfolio is the moment you are basically putting the key in the door, and the moment you are like turning the key is like when you are opening the door. But this not only depends on you, but you can prepare for that. So when you are applying to the company, when you want to enter in a specific company, or for example, if you want to do a specific style in the industry, you need to prepare a portfolio. You have to study the portfolio, and you have to study the company or the art style you want to apply for, and you have to make this thing really visible on the portfolio. So you have to show that to the company you're applying for that if they take some character from your portfolio and they put this character in their game, they're going to work, or at least they're going to work enough to be used. because what the company is looking for is looking for solving a specific problem, and you are the one actually going to resolve this problem. So if you don't show this thing in the portfolio, they're not going to let you in. Which is like a pretty simple. You want to work for Vuga, you just go on the page, you look at the game, you play the game, you see the art style, and you try to replicate this art style and to make something that looks like this. And then you probably will have a chance to enter in my company in this case. Also, when you are preparing the portfolio, don't put too many things on. Just like put enough pieces, like say not more than 5, and the best selected pieces. Because imagine you're going to show this portfolio to somebody from HR probably, or maybe from the art department is going to look through, I don't know, 50 different portfolios. It's going to look at them, and it will spend really short time to understand if you are capable of doing what they are looking for. So if you, in the first 2 pieces, you already have your best pieces, this is already enough. They're going to go, okay, I can see that. Let's turn the page. Okay, this one is also similar to that one. So, okay, this guy can do this thing. But if you start adding stuff that are not at the same level, the third page they will watch is going to be, okay, now I don't know exactly which level is this person. It happened to me multiple times. I included in the portfolio things that I was just in love with, but they were not at the same level, and I got rejected because this single piece that was not at the same level as the other. So be selective. Just select the pieces that you want to that are important, that are the level that they request. So increase your network. This is I will tell this over and over again. It's like one of the most important thing is like increasing your network. I'm talking here today because I have a very good friend that was working one time with me, and this friend just referred me to the organization, and then they saw my things, and now I'm talking in front of you. It's everything connected to the network. It's everything connected to the people you're gonna talk with, you're gonna connect with. So there's multiple way of building your network. So if you see something online from an artist that you really love, and you think you don't know how to do that, just reach this person. Just like call, like write a message, send an email, and say, hey man, I saw your stuff. This is really amazing. I would like to learn how to do this thing. Can you address me to a tutorial? Can you show me how you do that? Can you give me more information? Eventually somebody's going to answer, and you're going to know more than before. Join the events. Like this event here is great because you get in touch with other people, and then you can share the content with them. You can reach me out after the talk. You can go on Instagram or whatever. You can add me, and you can reach me out and ask me more information. I'll be super happy to share with you. So just contact the people, just join the event and just connect with them. And then if you have friends that are doing like a small project, even if it's like just a small tiny game jam session, or even like something like a small tiny project just for with friends and so on, just join and just like build relationship with these people. Eventually these people will also work in the industry one day, and they will say, I remember I did a session with you, it was really fun. Why don't we do that? I already work with you, I know how you work. Do you want to work with me? I can refer you for a position, or I can take you in my team, and so on. So it's really important to build the network. And the most important suggestion I can give you is like be kind with everyone. So all the people you're gonna work with, like you're gonna meet these people later. You're gonna meet somebody now, and 10 years later, this person is gonna be in a team, and he's gonna remember how kind you were, and he's gonna remember how friendly you were. And the most important thing is like in a team, you're gonna have to live every day with this person for years, and work every day with this person for years. And you're gonna see this person more than your family sometimes. And so if you're not kind, they don't want to stay with you. They just will say, no, okay, guys, like this guy is a genius. He's really good in art, but I don't want to deal with this because it's not gonna make me work. It's not gonna make me feel in a good mood. So be very kind with everyone, And last suggestion, like last 2 suggestions, I will go quickly here, is like show and share, show your stuff. like a post on socials, like show the things. Don't be scared. Don't matter, no matter the level. If the level is not good enough, you're gonna get feedback, and then you're gonna apply the feedback. But in general, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't watch other people that are really good, and then you say, maybe I'm not so good, so I'm not gonna share. No, just share it, because you're gonna learn more. And share also what you learned. If you share what you learn, you're going to see that you will learn more, because it's going to go back in your hard disk, in your mind, and you're going to find out that something you learned, you don't know how to express, you don't know how to teach other people. So you're going to study this thing even more, study why this thing works in this way, and then you're going to learn more. And you're doing this just because you want to share to somebody else. So be ready to share whatever you learned with your friends. And the last suggestion I can give you is like apply. Keep applying. I got rejected billions of times. At one point, I had a wall in my apartment where I printed out all the emails of the company that rejected me, and it was for me motivational. It was like, okay, one point I'm gonna make it. So just like print out this thing, just like keep it in your mind, and then keep applying, because this is not the end. When you apply for a company, the company rejects you, it's because maybe in the specific time they don't need this specific expertise, or like you're still not at the level, but you are close to the level. So apply, and then ask for feedback if you got rejected, and then apply the feedback that they give you. But don't just like be sad, don't be desperate, don't just give up, just keep doing it. You're gonna do this over and over again, even when you will be a super senior. This always happen, so don't give up. Those are the only thing that make me that I bring across all my journey, from a tiny room in my own town where I was like sculpting action figures, to a position as a character artist, as a customer support in a gaming company, as to the position as a senior character artist, which I am right now. And yeah, thank you.
That was just wow, Mark. Indeed, an unconventional journey, and it was super motivational. And I'm sure it would have definitely instilled confidence in a lot of guys out there who actually think they're late to the party, or maybe they're just not ready enough to take the first step. I'm sure this is going to motivate all of them. Thank you, thank you for putting this together. All right, so the audience, thank you for staying here, guys. We will get on to the Q&A session now. We will request Marco to respond to as many questions as he can. And before we start that, I will just ask the audience to actually, take out some time to provide the feedback in parallel with the QA session. We have this feedback form out in the handouts tab as well as in the discussion tab. So please take out time to do that. All right, so Marco, if you can just go to the Q&A tab, and let's start covering as many questions as we can.
Yes, I can answer all of them because I have time, and I'm really happy to answer the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So I see the first one. The first one is like, when you got into the gaming industry, did you just make the 3D model, or did you optimize it as well as like with topology? It's a very good question. I was extremely scared at the beginning because I was looking at other people retopologizing, and I was just a sculptor. So it was like, okay, I'm never going to learn this thing. I don't know how to do that. So no, the very first step, since I was already there, was actually modeling. And then I was getting information from the senior sitting next to me on how to retopologize. And at the beginning, I didn't even know why you need to retopologize. So I was making the first topologies, actually using 3D code at that time. And yes, basically like the senior character artist was correcting me and was like showing me what was wrong and so on, why you need a specific topology. But no, at the very beginning, I had no idea. I was just modeling, and luckily I was good enough to model. So yeah, that was my first step. Yeah. this, I don't know if this answered the question, but yeah.
I hope it does. Yeah, I guess it
Yeah,
does.
so,
Yeah.
okay. So the second one is like, do you only specialize at sculpting characters, or you also can do props in ZBrush? No, I do everything. I do everything. Also because again, connecting to the real life, when you do, especially when you are doing like action figures, you have to do weapons. You have to do also the environment around the characters. Sometimes, like you actually have to sculpt stones or like a part of the environment where this character is going to be in. So I was applying exactly the same principle, but the only difference is that at the very beginning, the only tool I could use was ZBrush, so was sculpting everything super high res, because and like doing stones and doing like I don't know, Greek columns and this kind of thing, all very very high, super detailed. Then later, when I learned how to model in Maya for this kind of thing, I was starting with a really basic topology and then applying the details on top and so on. But definitely, I was, and specifically now I'm doing everything, like both things, but mostly character. So next one is like, what are the limitations you guys face when implementing 3D characters in game? Oh man, yeah, we have a lot of limitations, like in general.
That's a vast question.
No, it's not. It actually is like, okay, let's put it this way. Limitations are good. Just guys, stop saying the limitations are bad. Limitations are good. Let's put it this way. You know why limitation is called limitation? Because come from the Roman word lime. Lime was the stone that the Romans were using to define which is my field and which one is your field. So it actually was a convention. It was a convention to help develop a specific project, which in that case was a city. So now if you put your mindset in this way, you will think the limitation is not a bad thing. It's basically organization. If you have total freedom, it's gonna be like to do whatever you want in a project. It's not gonna work. You have to make the project work. So you have to work with limitation, which are limitation based on the size of the game, limitation based on the how many characters you're going to see in the scene at the same time, the size of the texture, for example, and limitation of readability, for example. If you have a top-down game, you have to make this thing readable from top down. If you do things are perfect when you see, just like in T-pose, frontal view, and then you put in the game and the camera is like from top down, you want to recognize this character. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. So you have a lot of this limitation, but those limitations defined the project. So you need this limitation to understand what you need to do in the game. And after that, you can make the best of it. You can make it. You can make the game work. So yes, we do have limitation, but not be scared about limitation. Actually, the first thing you ask when you are in a gaming company and starting in a project, ask what are the limitations. This is like your paper. This is like your
Exactly. Yeah, games are all about, just staying in between the boundaries and producing the best possible thing.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it makes your brain improving. When you have to find a solution to make something work, that's the moment where you learn.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think it's like good.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. So this
Yeah.
is a personal question, I guess.
Okay. So I love games because of art. It attracts my attention in game industry more than programming. I'm good in maths and physics, but unfortunately I didn't get the way, and it's long gone that I choose another profession from far from gaming industry. Recently, I got to know is the way that I was seeing some data tutorial, but it's late for me. Always say that Google it, but no time in current situation. So many reasons to get rid of this. I'm late. Do you get professional assistance? Okay, this is like a long question, but in general, okay. That's why in the presentation I also included my age. Can you imagine? I started doing this thing when I was 29. So it's like the students are way younger than me, so it's not about when you start doing this. Luckily, there are like the company, they don't need to know how old you are. They just need to know how good you are. So it doesn't really matter when you start doing this thing. So first thing, first point, you have always time. You are 85, you can start working in the game industry because what they need is just an asset in a game. So who is doing that? Could be everyone. So no worries about the time. The time, it's on your hand. So you can do that. Second thing, there are billions of ways of learning. And the fact that you actually know, you have other knowledge like programming and mathematics, it's actually a very good thing. Like I have a friend actually in my company right now. He started as a programmer and now he's going to tech art. The company will give you the possibility to do that if you can show that you can do that. So having knowledge about programming when you want to be an artist, it's a very rare thing to have because then you're gonna be ready when you are talking with programmer when they are asking you things. Sometimes we have to sit with the programmer and they have to translate for us what they are doing. If you are able to understand already in the first step, you are ahead of the other people. So just like it's a very big advantage to have. Now it's all about developing your art skills, and in order to do that, you can access billions of tutorials on everywhere. But the very best thing I can suggest you is like try to find a good mentor because you can directly ask all the questions that you need, and this person is gonna give you the direction of the things you need to know because he's gonna tail the clothes on top of you. So you're gonna know that you know this thing, you know this thing. Okay, so maybe the thing that you need to learn at this part here. Otherwise, you're gonna search for information all around. It's gonna be a super long process. But in this way, you're gonna solve it. But really, don't be scared. It's just it's actually you already did the first step, understanding that you want to do that. It's already good.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
hope the guy who asked questions feels motivated with this.
Like I
Sorry,
hope I
I'm
hope
not sure.
I also hope so, but again, it's like one of the things is blocking people, including me, is like to be scared about stuff. So don't worry, just
Yeah.
um,
All right. So next question is actually so how do you overcome the artist block?
okay. You know what? I'm one of these people that don't never had artist block, but probably because I don't take it like a blockade. So when I don't have any creativity, I don't think this is a problem. When some days I just want to do something else, I don't think it's a problem. So when you're in a company, you don't have this problem because you have to execute a concept, you have to deliver something that was already coming out from a brainstorming, like a session and a pipeline and so on. So it's not so much about your brain, like your creativity, but it's about like combining your creativity with the process. And normally you don't have any kind of block happening there. When it comes to your personal artwork, you don't have to produce every day something. It's like if one day you're not in the mood to do something, just don't be desperate about that. Just go running, play football with friends, go to the gym, just have a great night with people. So just like do something like this, and their inspiration will come because the moment you are relaxing, you don't think about this. It's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can do that, and then you go back and you start working. So no pressure.
Exactly. The ideas actually come when you're just not pressurizing about it or you're just not thinking about it. They
Yeah,
just pop up.
yeah, it's absolutely like that. It's and there's not a problem to not produce something sometimes. It's fine.
Right, right, right. All right. So the next one says, do you like speed sculpt? And if yes, what is your set time for each sculpt?
Actually, I don't like so much speed sculpt. It's a good exercise if you want to, if you want to learn to be quicker and so on. But I don't know. It's like if okay, let's put it this way: if you have a reason to do that, if it's because you have to to do a lot of character in a specific time frame, or if because you are extremely low in sculpting and you want to speed up, then it's a good exercise. But in terms of like, or if you just want to have fun, it's fine. But in terms of like production, I don't know if this is an advantage because if you are very very fast in sculpting, but then like the tech department is not ready for implementing this character. Yeah, you're fast, but you need other people to be involved there. So it's like you really have to stick to all the other people, like you have to work in a team. Yeah, if you take it as like a fun exercise and so on, it's definitely something you can do. But I normally don't do it. I take my time, and sometimes I ask even more time if I think the quality can be better. Yeah.
So we're already over time, so we'll just pick and
Yeah.
choose a couple of more questions. So
Okay.
the next one would be, so I'm skipping one there, Marco. So the next
Yeah,
question
sure.
that I pick is, so in the job aspect, many says programming is better. After all, 3D art better than the 3D artist, and every field of game industry lies into coding. It makes our idea motion how to convince ourselves to not to choose coding over art. So basically, what I understand from this is that people say that coding is better than the art, but
Mm-hmm.
convincing oneself, how does that person convince himself that he should choose coding over art? Because
Well,
he probably likes art, but people say that code is better.
no, don't listen to this. Like, let's put it this way. I come from the south of Italy, and they told me that cooking was better. So then work in the game. So if I had to learn, if I had to listen to everyone, I want to be here today talking in front of you, and I want to be a traditional sculptor. So or character artist. So just like do what you think is the would make you happier. Don't do what make other people happier. So it's not their journey, it's your journey. So if you think art is making you feel good, just go for it. If you get to the point where you're good enough, people are gonna ask you to do that. So don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah. So one guy asked this question initially that do you only specialize in sculpting characters or you also can do props in ZBrush? So the same guy has just
Yeah.
sent a message for you that he's added you on ArtStation. Hope you're okay with that.
Yes. Just like feel free to reach me out whenever and where you want. I'm on ArtStation, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Just like I'm there.
All right, so we'll pick up the last question, and it says,
Yeah.
when making any 3D model, do you take references or do you go by memory alone?
No, you need a lot of references. I strongly recommend you to get together your references. Spend at least one day gathering references on the things you want to do. Um, you could have like a good memory, but the memory you will need the memory to connect all these references and then to give like your own interpretation of these references. But you need to collect references. It's really really important. So I strongly recommend to do it. I do. I have terabytes of references for everything, and I spend at least a couple of days before starting my project gathering information about what I want to do, and then at least 2 days. This is when I have to be quick. So yeah, just do that. Yeah.
All right. So we've got, Marco, I'm sorry, I'll pick up one more question because this person has
Sure.
actually sent another message to request you to please answer the question. So the guy says, has it happened with you that there is something in your mind and when you want it on the paper, it's just different? And if yes, then how do you overcome it?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily like a negative thing. So something on the paper is like a hint, it's like some like an idea. Then you translate in 3D, and it could be different. It could be definitely different. It will be different because you're working from a two-dimension thing to the three-dimension thing. So you're adding one more dimension. So there is something that on the paper is missing, and there is instead is there. So take this as a chance. Like if it's about a character, take it as a chance to give even more information. That's why it's very, very important to get references and to really understand what are you sculpting, what is the character. because you are actually adding information on top of what was on the paper before. So yeah, it definitely happened, and it sometimes is required for you as a 3D character artist to add information on top of the 2D. So just like yeah, it's a good thing actually. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marco. I think all the responses are really, really brilliant, and I'm just happy that I can actually feel the vibe rather just by reading the messages of people or the questions that they're super happy with the talk and they are motivated with this inspirational session. Thank you so much for putting this together, Marco. And
Thank you so much.
before we leave, I would like to take this moment to thank our sponsors for the IGDC this year. Our presenting sponsor is Unreal Engine, and then our gold sponsors are MPL, AWS, Glance, and Jungly. Legacy silver sponsors are GameShun, Lakshya Digital, and Yes No. And then bronze sponsors are Koali and GameEon. Thanks again. Thank you, Marco, and thanks, audience. Please fill up the survey if you haven't yet. We had a really good time, and I can't really thank enough.
I'm
Thanks,
super happy.
Marco.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy. We'll see you again tomorrow at 6 p.m. with a lot more new, interesting sessions. Just stick around. We'll come up with quite a few more sessions tomorrow again. Bye and have a good night, guys.
Bye.